Hello everyone, my name is Keely. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you've been here before. So today we're going to talk about all the books that I read in the month of July. I managed to read 10 books this month, which I was very pleased with. If you haven't watched my recent videos, at the beginning of July I was living and working in South Africa, so I was incredibly busy. So the fact that I managed to read at double digits is something I did not expect. The 10 books I read resulted in 3,116 pages, which I am very pleased with. As far as ratings go, I had 1 1-star, 2 2-star, 1 3-star, 4 4-star, and 2 5-star. So as always, I'm going to talk about these books in the order I read them in. So the first book I have to talk about is My Penguin Year by Lindsay McCrae. Now this is a nonfiction memoir about Lindsay McCrae's journey with the emperor penguins. And if you know me, you know that penguins are very near and dear to my heart. They are my absolute favorite animal, so of course I had to pick this up. So Lindsay McCrae is a wildlife videographer, and he dreamed of getting to make a documentary about the emperor penguins. Now, a lot of people don't get to see the emperor penguins in their lifetime. Actually, most people don't, because it is very hard to get to see them and see their lifespan because they do live in Antarctica. So Lindsay McCrae got this opportunity to go live in Antarctica for 11 months and make a documentary about the emperor penguin's lifespan. I loved getting to read about penguins. There are also some pictures interspersed through here. Of course, I'm not going to show the right pages. There's one. But the penguins and the pictures were absolutely beautiful. The writing in this isn't the best. You can tell Lindsay McCrae is not a writer, but I still loved it nonetheless, and I ended up giving it 4 stars just because the writing wasn't great, but I loved all the penguins. I love getting to learn about them and their little habits. Any facts I can learn about penguins, I will gladly take in. So if you're a penguin lover or a wildlife lover, I definitely recommend this book. The next book I read was Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, and this is a young adult horror book. So we follow socialite Noemi, and she loves to party and hang out with men and just live a rich lifestyle. One day she gets a letter from her cousin asking for help, saying that there is something wrong with the house she's living in with her husband. So Noemi goes to live with her cousin in this mysterious manner and tries to help her. And along the way, things get creepy, things get spooky, and there is definitely something wrong with this house. So I really enjoyed this one. This is my first book by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, and I absolutely loved her writing. She is so descriptive and atmospheric that it really makes you set in this story, and it creeps you out. You can picture everything perfectly, and it just gives all that spine-tingly feelings you want in a horror book. I just really loved the writing. I also really loved Noemi as a character. I thought she was really strong and independent, and she really loved her family and her cousin, because you could tell even when things were getting weird and scary, she stuck around because she didn't want to leave her cousin, and I just really loved that family love aspect in this. There was a twist in here, and I don't think I could have guessed it like for $1 million. Like, I never would have guessed the twist that was in here or the reveal that happened. And honestly, when it was revealed, I was very confused, and I was worried that I was just going to be in a state of confusion for the rest of the book. But right after it was revealed, it was explained very well, and I was able to accept the reveal, and it made sense, and it was unlike anything I had ever read. So I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was Julia and the Shark by Kieran Millwood Hargrove, and this is a middle grade book, and I'm going to go ahead and say this is one of my favorite books of all time, not just this year, but of all time. So this follows a little girl named Julia. Her mom is a wildlife specialist who really dreams of seeing the Greenland shark, which is the oldest shark in the world, and she believes that if she finds the Greenland shark, she can figure out how to make lifespans longer, because the Greenland shark lives for hundreds and hundreds of years. On the other hand, Julia's father is an electrician, and so they moved to this very small island to live in a lighthouse so Julia's father can fix the lighthouse for the island. And this story is a story about grief and heartache and mental health, and it hit me so hard. It is so beautiful, and I think it's so important, especially because it is a middle grade. It's just so much about love, and so much about what happens when someone you love is really hurting and you don't know what to do, especially when you are a young child. I absolutely loved it. The cover is beautiful, and you can see it is a very gray, black, and yellow, and there is also like illustrations in here that are very gray, black, and yellow, and it just added so much to the story. I really enjoyed it and just thought it was beautiful, and this honestly is the most beautiful writing I have ever read. So let me read the very first line to you. And when I read the first line, I like read it several times because I was stunned. So it says, "There are more secrets in the ocean than in the sky. Mom told me when the water is still and the stars prick its surface, some of the sky's secrets fall into the sea and add to its mysteries." I just loved it so much. I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars, and I definitely recommend, even if you aren't a middle grade reader, it's just so heart-wrenching and so beautiful. The next 5 books I read for the readathon at Summerween, which I did vlog, so I will leave my vlog down below so you can go see how I spent the week and see my full thoughts on these books. I will talk a little bit about them, but definitely go check that out. I had so much fun participating in Summerween. I read some really great books, and I read some really not great books, but I had a lot of fun. So speaking of really not great books, the first book I read for Summerween was Ring Shout. Now, this is a horror novella set in the Prohibition era when the KKK rose to power. And in this world, there are Ku Kluxes within the KKK that are like demon creatures. So we follow a group of people who go and hunt these Ku Kluxes, these demons, and just try to rid the world of them. So I hated the writing style of this book so much. I was so confused throughout the entire book. I had no idea what was going on because the writing was just unreadable to me. I did not understand it. I could not figure out what was going on, who was who. There were also so many people introduced. I could not tell you one single thing about anybody in this book. I was really sad because I was really looking forward to it, but unfortunately I gave it 1 out of 5 stars. Okay, so somebody is currently sawing something outside, so sorry if you hear that, but I gotta film right now and there's nothing I can do. So the next book I read for Summerween was The Haunting of Ashburn House by Darcy Coates. This was my first Darcy Coates book, and I definitely will be reading more from her, although this wasn't my favorite. So we follow a young girl named Adrienne who, ever since her mother died, has been living on her friends' couches because she only has $3 in her bank account, she has no money left, and no place to live. Until one day, of course, she inherits a manor in another small town. So she moves to this manor and spooky things start happening and she realizes it might be haunted. So I love a good spooky manor story. As you saw from Mexican Gothic, I loved that spooky manor. So this was definitely creepy and spooky, but it also was extremely slow, and so that was my main problem with it, is it was very, very slow. So the spookiness didn't really start happening until about 70% of the way through, and by then I was like, we need to be like deep in the horror, you know, deep in the spooky, deep in the creepy, but by then it was just a little bit too late. But there were definitely some spooky, chilly parts. I just felt like it wasn't spooky enough for me, but I did love the writing and I definitely will be reading more from Darcy Coates. It was just mediocre. It wasn't a bad book, it wasn't my favorite book, and it wasn't the worst book I ever read, so I give this one 3 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was Camp Slaughter by Sergio Gomez, and now this is a slasher book all about a cabin in a very isolated wood in Pennsylvania, and we follow several different people. So some of the chapters we get are people that are being murdered by the killer. The other chapters we get are college students who are going to this cabin to have a weekend party, and then we also follow 2 people who are filming like a supernatural documentary. I really love this one so much, which I was not expecting because I'm not a huge slasher movie person because I think they're really cheesy and they never go the way I want them to go. But this one did not like hide from the horror or the gore of it at all, and I just really, really enjoyed it. Of course, in slashers, you tend to not like the characters, and I'm one of those people that if I don't like a character in the book, I'm not going to enjoy the book. But in a slasher, it's like a different story because you know they're probably gonna die because it's a slasher. I really, really enjoyed this one. I don't want to say too much because it is like a horror thriller and you can't reveal too much, but I thought the kills were great, the gore was great, and I just really had a great time reading it, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. So the next book I read was Stolen Tongues by Felix Blackwell, and this is about a couple who goes to a very snowy, isolated cabin, and when they get there, throughout the night, they start hearing whispers in the woods, they start seeing figures like hiding in the trees, and they decide to leave because things are creepy, things are weird, something's not right, and of course when they go home, this thing ends up following them home, and so this is their journey with this being this creature, this thing. I also really enjoyed this one. I was really looking forward to it because Gabby from Gabby Reads said that this book actually like really scared her, and I am always looking for a book that actually scares me. So what's interesting is that the author of this book is named Felix and his wife is named Faye, and the main character in this book is named Felix and his fiance's name is Faye. So it almost added an extra creep factor to it because it made it feel like it was like a true story, which added so much like more scares and creepiness to it. I thought this was very unique and I had never read anything like it before. I think it would do really, really well as a horror movie. Like, I wasn't 100% like really scared, but I think if I saw it like on a movie, I would be absolutely terrified. I will say that when I was reading this book, when I woke up in the middle of the night, I like was just like extra spooked, I guess. Like, you know, the shadows look a little bit different, the noises in your house sound a little bit different. So this book, it definitely did creep me out and scared me more than other books have. But it wasn't my favorite book that I read, so I still gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it and definitely recommend it if you want something that might scare you. The last book I read for Summerween was The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. So we follow a woman named Casey, and her husband has recently passed away, and she's also a famous actress. And so she needs to get out of the spotlight, so she goes and stays at her family's lake house. And at the lake house, there is another family that is across from hers, across the lake, and they have a massive house that is just like a wall of glass windows. And so Casey spends her evenings spying on this family, and she starts to realize that things aren't exactly what they seem, and something crazy might happen. I really, really enjoyed this one. So I feel like Riley Sager's books are very polarizing. You either love them or hate them. And for me, I have loved every single one of them, and I don't think that's gonna change. I don't know if I'm the problem or if y'all are the problem, you know? Like, why do I love his books when so many people hate them? I really love this one. It's honestly one of my favorite books, and I had such a great time reading it. This is set in the fall on a lake, and the atmosphere and the vibes was just so great, and I definitely recommend this for the fall time. It is a great fall time read. I also was worried because Casey struggles with alcoholism, and since I don't drink, I wasn't looking forward to reading about someone who does, but that didn't bother me at all, and I didn't think it was overdone or annoying like a lot of people have been saying. I just didn't really mind it at all. I really enjoyed the characters. I liked the twist. A lot of people hated the twist, but I really don't think Riley Sager could do any wrong for me. I just really, really enjoyed this one, and I couldn't quite give it a 5 stars because it isn't my favorite Riley Sager book, but it's not my least favorite, so I settled on like a 4.5 star. I definitely recommend it, unless you're one of those like Riley Sager haters. Like, I don't want to hear it. Sorry, I just don't want to hear it. So once again, those are the 5 books that I read for Summerween. I definitely recommend you going to check out my vlog because I feel like I talk better about them in that vlog than I am right now. But yes, I had a great time and can't wait for the next one. So the next book I read was for the Buzzwordathon, and I'm pretty sure the prompt was to read a book with the title that relates to a book or a story or something of that nature. So I picked up Storybound by Emily McKay. Stories in the title. Bound also like works in the book world. But yes, we follow a girl named Edie, and she actually lives in Texas, which is where I'm from, and her mother have moved around a lot, and so she doesn't do well at school. She gets picked on, she doesn't have a lot of friends, but the one thing she clings to is this series of books that she is completely obsessed with, to the point where she's reading fan fiction, she's on forums, like she knows this book series inside and out. So one day she goes to Book People, which is a bookstore in Austin, Texas, and she gets transported into this world. And so the world she gets transported to is that book series that she is so in love with, and of course the boy she meets is her book boyfriend from the series that she has been in love with since she was just like 11 years old, and she gets to meet him and she basically has to save him, save the world. This one was not great. I flew through it. I did really enjoy like the nods to Texas because a lot of the places they talked about, like, I knew exactly. I also always like have a soft spot for books that are about beloved book series because obviously I'm a book reader, so I have series that I would love to go into those worlds as well. I just felt like it wasn't written very well. I didn't really connect with the characters. I didn't really care about the relationship or anything. I thought it was fun, but it wasn't anything special. I actually, as soon as I finished it, put it in my unhaul pile. So this is currently up on sale on my Pango books if you are interested. But I ended up giving this one 2 out of 5 stars. And the last book I read, I actually put in my August TBR, but I did manage to finish it this month, and that is Xyla and Kai by Christina Forrest. So we follow a couple, Xyla and Kai, and they worked at an amusement park together over the summer, and they start this relationship. And what we know now is that they have since broken up, and they are on a senior trip, and they have gone missing. So the entire book, we are covering their relationship and how they got to that point where they are now missing. I unfortunately did not have a great time with this book because I was really hooked on the part of the synopsis where Xyla and Kai have since gone missing, and we got like maybe 1% of that in the book. Like, we would get that point of view like every 100 pages or so, so it was literally like less than 2% of the book. We got the present chapters, and the rest of it was how their relationship built up to that point, which I just found myself not really caring about. I just wanted to know how they went missing, what happened to them, where are they now, are they okay? I didn't really care about their relationship and the build up to it. I also thought they were like really in love with each other. Like, I understand, I am one of those people that love at first sight, but there was just something that I'm like, this is a little unbelievable. Don't really care about the relationship. So unfortunately, I give this one 2 out of 5 stars. So those are all the books that I read in the month of July. Like I said, I had some really great books, and then I had some not so great books, but let me know your favorite book that you read in the month of July. I would love to know, and let me know if you've read any of these and what you thought of them. Unless it's the Riley Sayer book and you didn't enjoy it, like I said, I really don't want to know. I only want to know if you loved it like I did. Because I'm tired of the slander, okay? But that is it for this video. If you have made it this far, leave an open book emoji for the Storybound, because this is the first book I saw, and look, it has the open book. Perfect. The open book emoji, go ahead and leave that. But that is it for this video. As always, all my social media links will be down below, and I will see you next time. Bye!